Hey, what is up guys, it's DarkraiTV here, and I attempted a Pokemon HeartGold Nuzlocke. As the title of the video suggests, I'm going to be playing through this Nuzlocke using water-type Pokemon only. Water is the most abundant typing in the entirety of Pokemon, and so fighting encounters really shouldn't be an issue. There are in fact 22 different water-type encounters, so I'll attempt to create a more unique team from what's available. I won't name them all as that would take ages, but here are all the available options. I'm going to be prohibiting myself from using a Gyarados until later on in the game to actually provide this Nuzlocke more challenge. And I mean, a red Gyarados is pretty damn cool anyways. Not only does water typing provide a large selection of encounters, but it is also a typing with only two weaknesses, grass and electric, which makes it one of the strongest types by far. Not to mention the many types that water is super effective against. The rules for this Nuzlocke are as follows. Number 1. All fainted Pokemon must be permaboxed so they can't be used again. Number 2. There's no overleveling past the gym leader's ace, and for the Elite 4 the level cap will be the last member's ace. Number 3. No in-game items such as potions are allowed, although held items are fine. Number 4. I must catch the first water encounter on each route. And finally, rule number 5. Extended dupes or species clause. For each route which has a water-type encounter, I may re-roll encounters until I find it, but I must catch the first water-type I find. This means that if there are multiple water-type encounters on the same route, I must catch the first one I see. I'll have more on the rules in the description down below. But quickly before we start the video, make sure to leave a like on this video if you want to see more hardcore Nuzlocke content. It only takes a second, and it helps us small YouTubers a lot. Thanks so much guys, let's get into the video. As this Nuzlocke is based on water types, I obviously go for Totodile as a starter. He's an absolute beast and will surely come in handy throughout this Nuzlocke. I name him Snap. Our rival will be called Twig. As soon as we leave Elm's lab, we head out and catch ourselves a Wooper. Not only does he look funny, but his resistance to electricity will be crucial throughout this playthrough. I name her Simple because I think it's self-explanatory. After doing some more leveling, I challenge Faulkner at the very first gym. I lead with Simple and go for Water Gun. Pidgey goes for a non-threatening tackle, so I use Water Gun again, leaving him at a sliver of health. I go for one more Water Gun and I secure the feint. Pidgey autos up next, and he can be an actual challenge, so I have to be careful. I lead with a Tail Whip after getting hit by Gust. I go for it again. I then have to switch out to Snap and get hit by another Gust. I then go for Bite, which takes off half his health. He then roosts in desperation, but is not able to handle Snap Bites. And just like that, we've earned our very first gym badge. After this, we obtain an old rod from a fisherman, and we go for our second encounter, a Poliwag. His eventual fighting type may definitely come in handy later on. I name him Hypno after his belly. We find yet another encounter, a Goldeen. I name her Catfish cause have you seen what she evolves into? Anyways, the encounters don't stop here, as we catch a Slowpoke and a Slowpoke well. He looks like a Eugene to me. Next, I feel prepared enough, and I challenge the second gym. As Bugsy leads with a powerful Scyther, I lead with a sacrificial Catfish to bait out a U-turn. This is perfect, as I now can send out Snap and level him up in the process. This Metapod is super tanky and doesn't want to go down to Rock Tombs. After some repetition however, we finally get him down. With Scyther up next, I lead with a super effective Rock Tomb to slow him down. Even though he has a Citrus Berry, it's not enough to let him live. And with 2 speed reducing stat effects, he would have gone down to the next hit anyways. Good job Snap. Cocoon is out next, and she's way less tanky. She manages to poison Snap, but it's too late as one more bite finishes her off. Good game Bugsy. Snap also evolves right after the gym battle, turning into a way stronger Crocodile. Now comes the first fight I've been dreading, Twig, but more specifically, his Bayleaf. Ghastly's up first, and for some reason I go for Water Gun instead of Bite. It's fine though, as he goes down to the very next hit. Now for Bayleaf. I go for Bite, and luckily Bayleaf flinches. After another bite, Bayleaf goes for Reflect, but Bayleaf flinches right after again for the second time. I take no damage against Bayleaf, and what a relief that was. Now, with only Zubat left to go, I feel safe. I go for a bite, and after getting hit with Supersonic, another bite finishes the game off. GG Twig. Next, we face Whitney in the third gym. I can't use Snap as I accidentally overleveled him against Twig, but let's see what I can do without him. I gotta say this was such an annoying fight, and you'll see why. I lead with a Yawn and Protect after to make sure I take no damage here. Clefairy then falls asleep, and I start my setup. I keep on going for Curse until she wakes up. She uses Mimic, but that's fine as I Yawn and then Protect again, and I put her to sleep. I keep on setting up just to play this super safe until I feel ready, and go for a return which nearly takes her out. One more return seals the deal. I took no damage and this looks great. Or at least so I thought. Miltank leads with a Stomp and gets a critical hit right off the bat. I go with a Yawn Protect combo here and put Miltank to sleep. but she has a Lumberry and wakes up instantly. I then misclick and go for Protect, which fails. Miltank goes for Attract and I get immobilized instantly. Miltank then stomps and I get immobilized again. I then manage to finally get off a yawn, but I get immobilized right after. Miltank then falls asleep, and guess what? It happens again. After ages, I finally managed to hit a return, and after getting immobilized one more time, I managed to finish off with a return. I somehow took out Miltank, but wow, I hate the move Attract. After this gym battle, I can finally bring back Snap. It's nice to have you back. Then, after watering some weird tree and killing it, Simple evolves into a Quagsire. I then run into 3 funny looking stray cats and get challenged by Mr. Twig. He leads with a Ghastly, who gets taken down with a single bite. Bayleaf is up next, but I'm not as scared this time because I have Ice Fang. It does a huge chunk of damage and knocks out Bayleaf with the next one. With Magnemite next up, I go for a Water Gun. This does a ton of damage, but I get confused. I stupidly go for another Water Gun, but I get hit by Confusion, Thunder Shock, and Poison, leaving me on 5 HP. Not even close, right? I switch out to Simple, which I should have done earlier due to his typing. I go for a Mud Shot and I take Magnemite down. Zubat's up last and I once again get confused. I still hit my Water Gun though. I get hurt by Confusion, but hit a Water Gun right after. With one more Water Gun, I take down Twig and I get lucky I don't get rabies from these stray cats. What kind of mother would let their 10-year-old kid run around alone like this? Anyways, I now go for my 6th encounter, a Marill. I catch him and I name him Mike. He evolves into an Azumarill and has the ability Huge Power. This is super significant and you'll see why soon. Hypno also evolves into a Poliwhirl right after. We then challenge Rick's grandson from another dimension, Fashionable Morty. I send out Mike and start setting up with Rollout. Due to his ability, Huge Power, which doubles his physical attack, Rollout will be really powerful. Mike also levels up, which definitely won't hurt. Gengar is really strong, but even with a Citrus Berry, he can't handle a Rollout and he goes down to the 2nd shot. Haunter's up next, who uses Curse. The final shot of Rollout activates, and just like that, Haunter is finished. In hindsight, I realize I could have used Defense Curl to double the power of Rollout, but it really doesn't matter as this fight is still a breeze. Haunter tries to PP stall with a Hyper Potion, but eventually goes down to Snap Scrunches. We are now halfway through Johto's gym leaders. On the way to Cyanwood City, I encounter a Tentacruel and I add her to the team. I call her Squidward. After this, I also find a wild Mantine who has great typing against Chuck's fighting types. I name him Manta too, as nobody can replace Manta from my previous Nuzlocke. Snap also evolves into a Feraligatr here. He will replace Mike as a part of the team for now, but I'm sure I can find a use for Mike later though. Next, after interrupting Chuck's midday shower, we take him on. I lead with Snap and use Surf, which disrupts Primeape's Focus Punch. Primeape then goes down right after. With Poliwrath next, I start crunching. I managed to lower his defense twice, but I also get paralyzed. I managed to land one more crunch, but switch out to Manta 2 just in case. Chuck the Psychic somehow predicts this and hits a Focus Punch, but the typing advantage is too strong here. With his lower defense, I go for one wing attack and I take down the 5th gym. Well done team. Right after the 5th gym, I go straight for the 6th. Here we come Jasmine. I lead with Quagsire for the strong typing advantage. Magnemite goes down to one Mud Shot here, and Quagsire levels up. He learns Earthquake. With Steelix's high physical defense, I go with Surf and leave him with very low health. One more Surf takes him out. We now get to use Earthquake, and just like that, we take out the 6th gym leader. I then finally go and catch a Gyarados, who I name Cherry. The funny thing with HeartGold is that the level cap for the 7th gym is lower than the level cap for the 6th gym, which means I can't use Quagsire for this next battle. After grinding for points in the Pokeathlon, I buy a Water Stone and finally let Hypno evolve into a Poliwrath. I feel confident enough to fight the 7th gym. I lead with Hypno and I Body Slam Seal, who goes for Hail. I then repeat this one more time and I take him out. With Dugong up next, I go for the only fighting type move I have available, Rock Smash. I then go for Surf, but Dugong uses Rest. He then uses Sleep Talk, but Aurora Beam doesn't do much damage. I then go for one more Surf to not do too much damage for Pryce to use a Hyper Potion, and then finish the battle off with a Rock Smash. Pillow is up next, and as he's pretty weak, I go for Rock Smash again. This lowers his defense to the point where he goes down to one more Rock Smash. Only one more gym leader to go. Then, while trying to save the world, Twig 387 sides with Team Rocket and tries to stop me. He takes into his dad Giovanni, I guess. I lead with Cherry here, and start off with Ice Fang. Air Cutter barely scratches Cherry, and Golbat goes down right after. Magnemite's next, who goes down to one Aqua Tail. Meganium no longer scares me, so I just go for an Ice Fang, and this ends up freezing him. I take him down with one more Ice Fang. This Meganium must be the unluckiest Pokemon in this entire playthrough, but hey, I'm not complaining. Twig then sends out a hunter who goes down right away to one single bite. Sneasel is up last, but he also goes down to one single aquatail. Your channel is great, Twig, but maybe you should spend less time on your videos and more time actually training your team. We then fight the Team Rocket boss, Archer. This guy's horrible. We one-shot his Houndour with Surf, after which he sends out a Houndoom, who looks threatening, but looks is really all he has, as even though he gets me to flinch a couple times, I switch out to Simple and take him down with one Earthquake. Coughing is up last, and even though I forget about Levitate, a couple Surfs easily take him out, and there goes Team Rocket. While heading to the 8th gym, I run into a shiny Golbat who we name Water type. This counts as an encounter, right? After doing some training, I finally take on the 8th gym leader, Claire. I feel fully prepared for this fight. I go for a Thunder with Cherry and almost take out Gyarados. For some reason Claire withdraws though, and there goes my entire strategy of switching out. I go for an Ice Fang on Dragonair who ends up flinching, so we manage to take her out right after. I keep on going with the same strategy with Ice Fang, and the other Dragonair flinches too. What are the odds? As Claire sends out Kingdra, I go for a Thunder but I miss. Her Dragon Pulse doesn't take me out, but leaves me super low. I hit a Thunder which does barely any damage, but manages to paralyze her. I then switch to Mike as a final sacrifice. Kingdra gets paralyzed though, and I go for a Tail Whip. This happens again, and I Tail Whip once more. I managed to do this for a 3rd time and finally go out. Thank you for everything, Mike, you were really our MVP on this run. I switch to Snap because of Kingdra's lowered defense, and I easily take her down with 2 crunches. Now, there's only a low health Gyarados left who Hyper Potions. That doesn't change much though, as I begin my crunch spam. I eventually lower his defense, and I take him out with yet another crunch. Elite 4, here we come. Before this, we challenge the 5 Kimono girls in Necrotique City. The Umbreon doesn't pose much of a threat, but Espeon however does, and manages to get a critical hit with Psychic, but still goes down to a single crunch. Flareon is slow, so Snap easily sneaks in a Waterfall to win the battle. Jolteon goes down to an Earthquake, and finally Vaporeon who goes down to Cherry's Bite. Then, after illegally sneaking into a cult meeting on a rooftop, it starts raining leaves and some colorful bird shows up. I don't know what his game plan was here, but he should have known not to face a team of water types, SMH. We managed to find a wild Chinchou on the way to the Elite 4, who is definitely going to be coming in handy later on. We name him Lamp, and he evolves into a Lantern right after. Twig now faces us for the very last time. Let's see what he can do. His Sneasel manages to barely survive, but goes down right after. Meganium is next, and wow has he become annoying. He starts off with Poison Powder while I go for Avalanche. Meganium then starts stalling with Synthesis while I keep on going for Avalanche. This keeps on going till I decide I have to switch out, so I go for Cherry. Meganium uses Petal Dance, but goes on to Ice Fang right after. With Magneton up next, I switch to Simple for the typing advantage, and it works out as a Thunder Wave doesn't affect him. I then go for a single Earthquake and I take down the Magneton. I get confused, but I still hit my Waterfall against the Haunter. One more Waterfall takes it out. With Kadabra up last, I go for yet another Waterfall, and even after Reflect, I take him down to less than half health. He predicts my Waterfall and goes for Disable. After this I get hit by Confusion, but I go for Earthquake to take out the Kadabra. Golbat's up last, so I switch to Hypno. I manage to hit my Waterfall, and then I switch out to Lamp. Golbat gets a critical hit on Lamp too, so I end up going for one more switch out to Cherry, and finally win using Ice Fang. We then head to Whirl Islands to catch our very first encounter, a Horsey. I use a Master Ball to secure the catch, and I name him Neptune. After I evolve him into a Kingdra, it's time to face the Elite Four. I don't want to completely sweep through using Cherry, so I'll try and use a large variety of different team members here to make it more entertaining for you guys. Let's get started. Will is up first, and as his team comprises of Psychic types, we lead with Snap. We go for a Crunch which nearly takes Xatu out. Will uses full restore, but to no avail as we crunch again, and one more crunch takes her out. With Jinx up next, I decide to keep on going with crunch, which also leads to a one-hit KO. Executor actually manages to tank one crunch and set up Reflect, but it's too late as she also goes down right after. Slowbro's up next, and guess what? I go for another crunch. She starts setting up with Curse, so I switch to Lamp and go for a super effective Discharge. This doesn't take her out, but it makes sure the next one will. Will then sends out his ace, another Xatu. But even though she too tanks a Discharge, it's game over after the next one. Nice try, Will. We face Koga next, the technically Poison type owner, although he also has loads of bugs. But oh well. I lead with Snap and I go for Waterfall. This does loads of damage and lets us get the easy 2-hit. Koga goes with Fortress next, and I keep on going with Snap. I go for a waterfall and he annoyingly sets up toxic spikes, but it's fine. I go for a Dragon Claw to lower his health just a bit, and after protect stalling, I finally manage to hit. I then take him out using waterfall. With Muck next, I go for yet another waterfall while Muck minimizes. He then uses toxic and it seems like he's trying to toxic stall with minimize. The full restore definitely helps him stall well, although after using a couple more waterfalls he goes down. Toxic managed to lower my health down to the point where I need to switch out against Crobat. I send out Lamp who gets poisoned from the toxic spikes. Crobat also tries to stall with double team, although we do hit our very first discharge. Luckily, Toxic doesn't manage to drain us here, as we hit yet another discharge and take Crobat out. Venomoth's up last, and I switch to Cherry to not get hit by toxic spikes. I start setting up here just for the fun of it, to be honest, and then I use Ice Fang. Even though Venomoth gets fully healed, he still goes down to a couple Ice Fangs, and this leads us on to the third battle. Bruno, the fighting type leader, is up next. His Hitmontop is fairly weak, so I start setting up against him with Dragon Dance. He actually lands 2 crits with Quick Attack, but even that wasn't enough to take me down. Here starts the sweep. Hitmontop goes down to 1 Ice Fang. Onyx then goes down to 1 Aqua Tail. Hitmonchan faces the same fate. Even Machamp does. Why is Bruno even trying? I switch up for Hitmonlee just in case and take him out with a single waterfall. Now for the last Elite 4 member, a Wild Karen. I thought this game was based in Japan, not the US. Karen leads with Umbreon while I go for Cherry. I go for a Dragon Dance here and I start hammering Umbreon with Aqua Tail. Despite his super high special defense, he still falls to 2 Aqua Tails. Houndoom, however, has the typing disadvantage and goes down to a single Aqua Tail. I don't know why Karen has a Murkrow instead of a Honchkrow, but it allows me to set up, so I'm not complaining. She goes down to a single Ice Fang. With Vileplume up next, I set up once more with Dragon Dance and I get paralyzed here. It shouldn't be too much of an issue though. 1 Ice Fang still manages to take her out. For Gengar, I switch to Snap. I go with Dragon Claw to make sure she's not trying to use Destiny Bond here, and then take the win with Crunch. Here we go, Lance. My preparation for the champion is teaching literally everybody in the Team Blizzard, and hoping somebody hits. Alright, let's see what I can do. I challenge Lance for the championship fight, and I lead with Lamp. I go for a discharge against Gyarados, and nearly take him out. His Dragon Pulse is weak, and so I'm easily able to continue discharging until he faints. I go for a Blizzard against Dragonite, and I manage to take him out with a crit. Not a bad start, huh? Another Dragonite is up right after, who nearly takes me out with Dragon Rush. I still manage to hit a Blizzard though, and I nearly finish him. I then get taken out by Dragon Rush. Well played, Lamp, you are amazing. I send out Quagsire next to easily take out Dragonite with a Blizzard. Yet another Dragonite is up next, and we both end up going for Blizzard here, and we both miss too. He then hits Blizzard, and I unluckily get frozen here. Dragonite misses, but I'm still frozen. He finally finishes Simple off. I send Snap up next, and I go for Avalanche. I get paralyzed though, so it's to no avail. Snap's next Avalanche however hits, and secures the knockout. I manage to live on 3 health after a Thunder Fang from Aerodactyl, and knock him out with Waterfall. Charizard is sent out next, and he takes Snap out easily with a Shadow Claw. I send out Cherry here and start Dragon Dancing. After I'm set up, I go for an Aqua Tail and take out Charizard. There goes, we beat the Nuzlocke, and didn't even have to rely purely on Gyarados to do so. Apart from Poliwrath being pretty useless, I genuinely enjoyed using my team, as it consisted of Pokemon I wouldn't normally use, and I'm proud of my team for doing so well. If you want to see me do a part 2 and beat all of Kanto's gyms in HeartGold, leave a like and a comment down below. I really appreciate you all for watching, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.